Hi guys, it's Dr. Pete here. I'm a workplace psychologist working with school leaders and their teams to build high performance schools, places where every student and every staff member can flourish. As we head into the 5th year of our program now, we've worked with over 3,000 school leaders across more than 300 schools and over 10,000 staff. The purpose of our work, of course, is about building high performance teaching teams, as well as non-teaching teams and school leadership teams. And the goal there, of course, is to increase the amount of collective teacher efficacy, and in doing so, make sure that the staff are flourishing and the students are flourishing. We've worked with a lot of schools and have got a lot of data now, particularly around measuring collective teacher efficacy. Look, we put out a case study just on LinkedIn, an article, having a look at a great versus an extraordinary school. And I want to encourage you to read that for all the details. But what we want to do now is zone right down on 3 big ideas for school leaders in building extraordinary schools. The first one we want to get into is leadership dashboards, and in particular what we call 50-40-10s. That's about the ratio of information. Now, if you look at the screen, you can see a typical school leadership dashboard. They've got measures of attendance, measures of academic performance, and of course measures of negative behaviour, of SDAs, of suspensions, etc. That's really interesting in terms of understanding the interactions between quality teaching and learning and student behaviour and attendance. But extraordinary schools know that the picture about student engagement is so much richer than that. Take a look at the extraordinary schools dashboard now. Beyond that information, we see they add to it. They systematically measure positive behaviour. They're measuring collective teacher efficacy, and they're measuring parent engagement. Then when you zone in, like you can see now, this team going through a rough patch with student behaviour, all of a sudden you can see a number of additional triggers and intervention points to maximise the performance of the school. The second big idea we wanted to touch upon is this notion of how we're using Team Pulse scorecards. Team Pulse system, we've talked about it many times, don't need to do that here, but it cycles up, as you can see on the screen, into a monthly scorecard where you can see the different factors of collective teacher efficacy. The trick here for the extraordinary schools is they put a lot of attention into making sure they're actively writing up their forward actions and returning to those because they're recorded on the scorecard, and in doing so staying tight and accountable to improving their own collective efficacy. The third big idea we wanted to touch on now is about scheduling team activity. Now, when we think about timetabling team activity, we're zoning in on 2 particular things. One is the team meeting frequency, and the other is what we call stand-up meetings or huddles. In extraordinary schools, they schedule their teaching team meetings alongside specialist lessons. That's a great idea. However, some schools aren't resourced to that level, and so what they do is they invoke what we call a 3-to-1 ratio. They have 3 teaching team meetings in a row, followed by 1 general staff meeting, which also has an improvement group breakout, and in any given month. The other element that's really interesting in extraordinary schools is stand-up meetings or huddles. Again, what you can see here is extraordinary schools are using playground rosters. First and second break, they're cleverly making sure that teaching teams are all booked off at least 1 day a week, not on roster duty, so they can at least have that extra piece of time together. So there you go, there's 3 ideas that lead to these phenomenal levels of collective teacher efficacy. Remember, there's a lot more to it than that. We really want to encourage you to read the full article if this is of interest. And at the end of the day, all this work about building high performance teaching teams is to ensure that we enable every student and every staff member to flourish. So until next time, bye for now.